everyone, welcome back to Royalty Soaps. Today I'm going to be doing a soap inspired by Celeste Clark, and she is one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram. I found her because of one of her watercolor paintings last year and actually had her custom create a house portrait for my dad. He absolutely loved it. It was so gorgeous. It was spot on, looks exactly like my house, and I have been following her on Instagram and recently on YouTube ever since. I think she's just one of those artists that inspires other artists to create. Her whole Instagram appearance is completely aesthetically pleasing. It's very light, so everything looks really clean. It makes me want to organize and redecorate my entire home. And I'm totally jealous of her long hair. It is so gorgeous. I can never grow my hair that long. Be sure to follow her on all of her social media. I will be leaving links to everything down in the description box below. Check out her shop. She has some amazing prints in there. I'm actually going to be getting one for my new baby's room. And let's go ahead and start making the soap. The first thing we're going to do is mix up our lye water into our oils. So in this bucket here, I have all of my oils that have been melted down and are now at room temperature. So I'm going to put my Cuisinart stick blender in here and shake it around side to side to get all the air bubbles out. Then I'm going to pour the lye water solution down the stick blender just to decrease the chances of there being air trapped in there. Then I'm going to blend this up for about 30 seconds. Depending on what recipe you're using, you will have to blend for a different amount of time probably than I am. But for my recipe, that's about how long I blend it, just to get everything good and emulsified. Here is a little bit of titanium dioxide that I have mixed up with warm water. I'm going to set that off to the side. That's what I'm going to use to turn these rather vibrant colors a little bit more pastel. So in this one here, I have a really pretty purple that has some golden undertones. It's exquisite. And then in this one right here, I have a pink, leaning towards a hot pink, and in this one I have a pretty basic orange that we're going to turn a little bit more of a tangerine color. So to these three containers, I'm going to start adding a little bit of the titanium dioxide, and I'm just going to mix it up with the stick blender until I get the shade that I like. Now that these have been mixed with the stick blender, I'm going to take my spatula here to scrape down the sides and the bottom of the containers, because sometimes the colorants get stuck on the side. Now that I've mixed them again, I'm going to set these off to the side, and we are going to add the remaining white into this big container. Now it is time to add the fragrance oil, and I actually had to take some of that pink and pour it into the mold because I had a little too much into that container. And after I add the fragrance oil, I'm going to mix it up with my spatula here, not with the stick blender because it is sort of a floral fragrance and it will accelerate trace. And then we're going to start pouring these into my soap molds. So you can see there's my little pink that I had to pour in there. That is the only part that's going to be unscented. So now I am pouring in a little bit of the white. I'm not going to pour in too much, just enough to kind of get the base of the soap started here. Now I'm going to add a little bit of the purple. I'm only going to go up the entire soap loaf like this and back once before I move on to the next color. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the white. Up and back. And up and back. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the orange. Again with the white. And I am pouring more white than the other colors because I have more white than the other colors. And again with the pink. And then I'm just going to continue this process until the entire soap loaf is all filled up. Now that I have scraped all of the soap batter into these two molds, I'm going to take them outside to the concrete and give them a really good tap, because there might be some air bubbles trapped in there, and to kind of level off this top surface. After that, I'm going to spritz it with rubbing alcohol, and then we're going to add the piping. The piping is set up, so I'm going to spritz this with rubbing alcohol one more time. And then using the Royalty Soaps piping set and a special ribbed tip, I'm going to make 4 little pipes across each soap, and I know where I'm going to cut each bar because of these little markings that I've placed in Sharpie down my soap mold. The soap mold is from Brambleberry. I have a link to that in the description box below. My piping set is available at nurturesoap.com, and until my baby is born, which should be sometime in late August, early September, all of the money I make for that is going to my birthing fund. This first row of piping being done, I am now going to fill in these little gaps right here. This is where my multi-bar soap cutter will be cutting the soap, is right down these little lines, so you won't be able to see the prettiness of this. We're pretty much just going to cover it up with piping again. And for anyone who is new here, this soap batch that I have right here in the piping bag is a different one from the bottom part of the soap, and I do have a recipe for the bottom part of the soap in the description box below. And if you want my piping recipe, it comes with the Royalty Soaps piping kit, along with exclusive access to step-by-step tutorials by moi. I think the colors that I've chosen for this they're really springy, and one of the things I love about Celeste's artwork is that she tends to go with lighter colors, not necessarily pastels, just lighter on the color spectrum, and her entire Instagram is really, it kind of has like a pale blush mood to it, so it's still uplifting, but it's also very calming at the same time. I totally admire the people who can stick with an Instagram theme when it comes to their like photo colors and how much exposure they have on their photos, because mine are like all over the place. I don't know if I'm just like not willing to devote the time to it, or I just absolutely do not know how to accomplish that, but it is so impressive to me whenever somebody's like Instagram feed like all matches. It's so pretty. One of the interesting things I have found about being pregnant are the wild dreams that I've had. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that before, but they keep getting weirder. Like, I expect that I've had the weirdest one, and then all of a sudden I'll have one that makes like total sense and I've even been creative in. So like last week I had a dream that Caleb found a white and gray kitten on the side of the road and brought him back to me because his mama, I guess, was missing or something, and we named him Gravy. Like, how cute is that? I woke up and was like, Sleepy Katie, you are so creative. But those are the weird types of dreams that I have now. Sometimes it's just like, why are the pink flamingos in the yard fighting? Why are they alive? And then sometimes it actually makes sense. But now I am absolutely determined to get a cat like that is gray and white and name him Gravy. Like, it's on the bucket list now. Now that the white piping is complete, it is time to add in all of the embeds, and this is going to take a decent amount of time, but I have laid out all of the colors already so that I know where to put which ones. That also took a really long amount of time, but it's going to be worth it because this is probably the most elaborate soap rose soap that I've ever done, like that uses these soapy roses. So I am not going to make you guys watch that. I think you would get really bored from seeing me just taking all this time to put in all of these soap roses. So I'm just going to come back whenever we are piping all of their leaves on. Ta-da! They have all been put in. So now I am going to be taking the Royalty Soaps piping set again. This is with a tip that does come in the piping set. It's the little leaf tip, and I'm going to be adding some leaves onto these flowers here. So I like to start with the top ones and then work my way down to the bottom. And the top always gets 2 leaves, so one on this side and one on the other side. And then the bottom always gets 1 leaf, just one down here because it looks a little crowded otherwise. And I'm just using the same technique that a cake decorator would with this tip to make the leaves. And then, I know it's going to be hard for you to see in the camera, I'm going to be adding them on the sides. And that being done, it is now time to add some glitter. So I'm going to spritz with rubbing alcohol, then take my glitter here and sprinkle it all around. And that's it. We're gonna let it sit for 24 hours so that the soap has time to harden up so that I can cut it with my cutter. And for those of y'all wondering, the reason why I spritz it with rubbing alcohol is just to keep something called soda ash down. I hardly ever get soda ash anyway, but it also helps the glitter and the embeds stick to all of the soap. Here's a little up close of all the soap. You can see that purple glitter is really adding something special to those bars over there. Everything looks pretty neat and uniform. This is one of those soaps that I get done with and I'm like, my OCD can be appeased. So we are back to cut this soap. I'm gonna line it up here on my multi-bar cutter. This is from Nurture Soap Supplies. It really makes cutting a breeze. So after I have lined this up, like so, I'm gonna gently press down on this handle here. I find going slower with the cut is better. It just makes a better, straighter cut in general. I'm gonna pull out one of the middle bars here, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So you can see some swirls here of this peachy tangerine color. We've got the light pink and we've got the lilac all running through this creamy base. And then of course the top matches perfectly. I think the smell of this bar is absolutely heavenly. It just smells so good. It's a very calming, relaxing scent. There's a little bit of lavender in there, but I'm not a huge lavender fan, so it's not a lot of lavender. And some really just pretty florals. It has just a slight smell of musk in there, so it's really nice. And definitely a floral without smelling like an old lady. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, maybe even leave me a comment down below. I will be doing more inspired by soaps in the future. I already have a couple of artists lined up and a couple of people that I will be collaborating with. Once again, be sure to share some love with Celeste. All of her stuff is down below. She's just a phenomenal person. I just love her art. Go be inspired. And until next week, I hope you have an absolutely royal day, and bye for now.